Tell me why I should love this movie. What's wrong with me?
You weren't getting the free joints that they were passing out at the
not.
premiere that we were at last night. We were at the premiere,
premiere,
and there was a joint taped under every seat. Did you know that?
My body is a temple, and I don't do drugs. Please continue.
No, I like this movie. I thought it was funny. I thought it's unapologetic about what it's supposed to be. Two guys who smoke out and are really stupid. These movies are completely over the top. I liked it. I thought it did exactly what it needed to do.
Did you like the other Harold and Kumar?
I like the first one. The first one was very clever and funny, and I liked their friendship. I like the two of them together. I think that it's just run out of steam, and these guys are way too old and have massively outgrown these characters. That's a huge problem with it.
It's a lot of humor that I wouldn't normally like, but there's something about these movies that I could forgive that. It's you know what you're getting into. These movies shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, right? I mean,
And that's part of the problem, is that they don't do anything new at this point.
Oh, I don't know. They shoot Santa Claus in the face.
There's
like,
a
come
claymation.
on.
There's a claymation sequence that's pretty cool. Neil Patrick Harris livens this thing up tremendously.
I think, look, I do think there are problems with the movie. I think that Neil Patrick Harris is underused in this movie, although he's hilarious. It's great how they bring him back. There's the magic, amazing new Christmas toy, the waffle bot.
That's actually really funny.
I love the waffle.
Bot's
I
very
want
funny.
a waffle bot. Just for the record.
Do you want Santa to bring you a waffle bot?
I do.
Is that what you're saying right now?
Yeah, because yes, I do. That would be awesome.
Because you hate pancakes?
I fucking hate
Yeah,
pancakes.
that's pretty. There's a few little clever individual ideas and moments. And then Neil Patrick Harris brings like this kind of dangerous vibe to it that is totally missing elsewhere. I think that the R-rated raunchy comedy is so pervasive that it seems tame at this point. And so even like topless nuns making out with each other doesn't really seem that shocking.
Like the
Maybe
whole
poop in anybody's mouth.
No,
then
but there is
flung at a car window.
Yeah.
3D?
Does the poop come in 3D?
I don't think that's in 3D.
Flung. There's ejaculate in 3D.
You know, like the topless bit you're talking about.
This movie is hilariously inept.
man.
Like, set aside the ideology, right? And like the twistedness of how they take materialism and try to validate it in biblical terms.
We'll get to that in a second.
Right, that's like a whole other like
Just
revisionist history thing.
As a movie.
Set that aside.
Yeah.
Okay, so like technically, okay, this is baffling and just shockingly, hilariously inept.
Dave White called it a Sunday school PowerPoint presentation because it is barely a movie. First of all, it's 80 minutes, a padded 80 minutes, like 80 minutes with like outtakes in the closing credits, and
This is only part one.
And to find outtakes in this movie was a challenge, I'm sure. But there's like a 5-minute introduction of Kirk Cameron in an easy chair in front of a fireplace talking about Christmas.
Drinking cocoa.
And cocoa.
There's so much cocoa in this movie.
Well, but nobody ever drinks any, because they're obviously doing empty mugs. Like they're not faking that at all, which makes me crazy in movies. So Coco is mentioned more than Jesus, I think. This is Kirk Cameron saving Coco.
But what distracted me, I don't know if this bothered you when you saw it. So a lot of the film is like in one shot through the passenger side at the director. One is shot through the driver's side at Kirk Cameron, and there are 2 shots through the windshield. Every time they cut to the director, and he likes a lot of extreme close-ups of himself. But when he was like shot from here up, there's something going on with his puffy snowflake sweater.
He's got a hole. There's a hole in that
I don't
sweater.
know. It was like he had a third nipple or something. Like it was like a shelf. And so it would cut to him and it hit right toward the bottom of the screen, and it was like, just smooth down your sweater. just fix it. Like, no one's in a monitor looking at this, noticing. It distracted the hell out of me.
I think they made this whole thing like in a weekend at Kirk's house. I mean, it's that kind of movie. And then it ends with a hip hop dance number.
Oh no, not just any. It's an extended hip
long
hop dance
one.
number to a funky, fresh version of Angels We Have Heard on High.
Yes.
Oh, I wish I were making this up. It's hilarious. And the thing that also baffled me about that and about so much of the way it's shot is like his camera angles. Like there's like weird, inexplicable use of handheld camera, but then he shot the whole dance sequence from like the landing above the entryway through the slats, like through the wrought iron, like metal. So people are partially obscured, and then like there are continuous cutaways to the wife, who is a Cameron of some
played
sort,
by his sister, yeah,
named Bridget. And so there's a lot of cutting away to her just going like.
I saw that Diane Keaton was in this. I like the Family Stone. I watch it every time it's on. I think it's good.
Okay.
I liked Family Stone is like not as good as Home for the Holidays, which I like a lot. I like big family holiday
Well, you'll like this then.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. I sense that this one may not have achieved the status that the Family Stone.
I'm not totally convinced Diane Keaton herself is in this. They've done some weird filtering or CGI touch-ups that she looks like a ghost.
Oh, is that right?
Like, it's weird.
Well, she did, she dies at the end of the Family Stone, so.
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe
Spoiler
this is
alert.
Yeah.
Right. There's a totally cringe-inducing moment where, spoiler, they all end up dancing in the hospital cafeteria.
Right.
Like, spontaneous. Did you do that when you were at the ER?
Sure.
Sure,
Yeah.
as we all
Everybody
do.
was.
So
Most families did. We had to wait our turn.
That's why they make
huddling
them.
in my seat, like looking through my fingers, like I couldn't watch. It was so bad. But then that alone is not cheesy and poignant enough. They do explain to you why this moment is supposed to matter, and that happens over and over and over again. I wish the whole movie had been the Olivia Wilde, Jake Lacy meet cute in the airport. That could have worked. They could have sustained that for like a 80, 90 minute
Right, you could have
indie comedy.
Right.
That would have been great.
Right.
But what this does is it between all the drugs and the raunchiness and the bathroom sex and all kinds of crazy stuff that happens all during the night, their friendship feels solid and relatable and believable. And when they have to talk about serious stuff from their childhoods or from their past, it makes sense and doesn't feel wedged in. Like so often we complain about in Adam Sandler movies, it's wacky, wacky, raunchy, and then, oh, look, we're so lovey and sweet.
Family's important.
Everything matters. So this handles that juggling act a lot more deftly, I think. And I was really impressed by that.
The thing that maybe kind of didn't work for me as much was that because the character stuff is so strong and they're so well written and they are so believable together, to then load in like the secret Christmas party that they've always been trying to get into, and then the like jerk teammates of Anthony Mackie's pro football player, it kind of felt like we didn't need all that stuff. I think you could have told this story and really centered it on them and their relationship and their own personal relationships, Gordon Levitt and Lizzie Kaplan and Seth Rogen and Jillian Bell, by the way, the scene stealer
Always
from
funny.
22 Jump Street. She's great here. And I've heard people complain the movie takes too long to get going because there's a healthy amount of setup. I think that first part is a successful sort of like dysfunctional family Christmas comedy, which is probably my favorite genre of Christmas comedies. So you've got, Adam Scott and Toni Collette and their kids, and the parents aren't getting along because he's traveling all the time, and the daughter just wants to go hang out with her boyfriend, and the son is trying valiantly to sort of keep the family going and to keep the Christmas spirit alive. And,
Right. And David Koechner is David Koechner.
Yeah.
David Koechner and Alison Tolman, yay, from Fargo season 1. They're they're the Randy Quaid family that
Yes.
shows up, and there's the German grandmother who knows more than she's letting on at first about how Christmas works and the downside of not being jolly.
I like this a lot. I'm also blanking on the kid's name. I'm terrible. I just thought it was
MJ.
He was good. I
He's
really
the kid
liked
from
him.
Chef.
Okay, he's is he Jon Favreau's son in Chef?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's nothing cute kid about him.
No.
I thought he was really solid. I believe them as a screwed up family. They weren't so extreme and so ridiculous. I believe them as not getting along.
Sure, and I've heard the complaint that this is a movie where the blue staters make fun of the red staters, but I would argue that the blue staters
That's shooting fish in a barrel.
I think the
Literally.
blue staters in this movie are in no position to judge. Like they've got their own problems and their own sort of messed up stuff. And then also part of what they're sort of judging the red staters about is guns. But boy, when the Krampa shows up, they're happy to have those guns.
You need
they
your
are
guns.
perfectly down for that. So
to blow away the evil gingerbread man.
I
yes.
think there's a balance that people maybe aren't giving them credit for. Also, any movie that puts a shotgun in the hand of Conchata Ferrell, I'm in. So
Yeah, no, it's I so abhor this subgenre of Christmas movies. I just find them like safe and lame, and I don't enjoy them. So I was surprised at how well this does what it does.
yeah, no, I think this one's really effective, and it worked. I mean, obviously, I think for a lot of people, Christmas movies are almost. It's a different thing, or at least, I think you have to kind of judge them in a different way because they're a delivery system for certain things that people like around the holidays. And so, I think I at least give them a little more slack when it comes to things like sentimentality. Definitely, you find in Christmas movies that there's that the idea of that family discussion that no one ever has, that has
At the table at dinner.
exactly, yeah, that causes resentments and anger for years. In Christmas movies, they have that argument and then they fix it, But no, there is that sense of absence, and like there's always the person who's not at the table, and the person who's not making the dish. And there's a whole subplot in this movie about sweet potato pie, about Danny Glover trying to make the sweet potato pie, about trying to find the recipes. And weirdly, it does. I can't think of another movie that really calls to mind specifically about how food can summon the presence of someone the way that an old photograph can. And okay, yeah, soul food. Thank you. You're right. But it doesn't come up that often in movies, and I found it really powerful in this one.
Okay, explain yourself.
This movie was all right. Wait, I just have to say this movie was funny and great the first time when it was called Bad Santa.
Right.
Okay,
Right?
yes. Look, Bad Santa, obviously, I'm not as big a Bad Santa fan as other people are, but I get why people like it and I get why it works. And all I can say is this: there are movies where I don't laugh at all, and there are movies where I laugh not enough, and then there are movies where I laugh enough. And I laughed enough at Bad Santa 2. I'm not defending it as this great movie. It's obviously not nearly as much of a groundbreaker as the first one was, but I laughed consistently, and that's enough.
Your porridge was just right.
Yeah.
So,
What the hell is wrong with you?
Look,
How on God's green earth did you laugh at a single joke in this movie? There is nothing funny going on in this
come on,
film
you didn't. You
at
did not.
all.
Okay, look.
neither did I. I did not laugh at
There's
single
one
time in
line.
this
Kathy
movie.
Bates has one line.
I'm sorry,
referencing the Lollipop Guild. That's kind of half.
There
funny.
is-
Kind of like an affectionate, like.
There is a great there's a great deal in this movie that is impossible to defend, but you cannot tell me that Brett Kelly as Thurman Merman was not hilarious.
Yes,
No,
I
not
can
at
tell
all.
you that
No,
he was
not
not
at all.
funny.
That kid is on a frequency of his own. That character is so funny, and he is unstoppably funny in every single scene that he's in.
Oh my
The
God.
rest of the movie, it's give or take, and you laugh or you didn't or whatever. He is brilliant in this movie.
He is not. It's a one-joke character, and they're just mean and
And we
making
saw
fun
that
of
joke
him.
in the first film.
And he's like clearly on the spectrum somewhere, and they just make fun of that. It's
Look, I'm not saying this is a great movie. I'm just saying that I laughed consistently from start to finish. And for a comedy, that's not like a ringing endorsement, but at least it's better than not.
I really wanted to laugh, and I instead sat there at the scenes between Kathy Bates and Billy Bob Thornton, just like, oh my God, you people deserve so much better material than this. Like,
Kathy-
Oscars,
right.
Oscars among them.
Kathy
and
Bates is ill-used, I will grant you.
She's like sitting
As
on
is
the
everyone
toilet
else-
At one point.
as is everyone else
As
in
is
this
Christina
film.
Hendricks.
Yeah.
I mean, the women are all like idiots and sluts, right? Yes. I'm gonna go to the misogyny card, which you guys always enjoy, right?
And it's not funny. It's not funny. And you Cranston and even James Franco are so much better than this material. You can feel them trying to wring something out of it, and it's just such garbage.
Right.
It's there's not a moment of sort of just believable humanity from either side. I didn't believe the sort of, uptight Midwestern, guy with a failing business because he's still putting things on paper, dude. And named Ned, which is such a lazy screenwriter, like, oh, clueless Midwestern guy, his name is Ned, his wife is Barb.
Right. Well, from the very beginning, the first scene takes place at Applebee's. There's like this
Yes.
really facile condescension to like
yes.
the Midwest is so lame.
But then it's equally condescending to like tech billionaires. Like the Franco character is such a cartoon and so absurd that I didn't buy him for a second either. So it's a waste of time.
Yeah, and the thing with the Keegan-Michael Key character is that he is, at times, he's Kato. Right?
Right.
At times, he will leap out of nowhere and attack James Franco to keep him on his toes and help him hone his parkour skills. And so just doing that alone might have been a funny idea, but then the Bryan Cranston character has to go, oh, you're like Kato. To spell out to us the joke that we are seeing, because
Yes.
jokes are way funnier when you have
Well,
no explain
I
them.
think the people who would need that joke explained to them probably haven't seen the Pink
Well,
Panther
that's
movie.
what the
And
joke.
that's
That's
the
what the joke
joke,
is supposed to be. Is that
supposedly,
neither
yeah.
Franco nor Key know those movies or get the reference. And it's like, okay, there's maybe a joke in there, but then that scene goes on for like minutes.
That's funny.
And it's so I've been seeing this was put together so quickly argument. You want to know another movie that got thrown together quickly and under duress? White Christmas.
was written in a month.
You know what? If only. That's so glass half full of you. Your eggnog glass is half full today.
It is.
In trying to see the good in this bad Christmas movie.
I'm just saying I'm not buying that as an excuse, as a problem.
But it feels like it this time, though. Doesn't it feel like it? Like, it looks like crap, and
it doesn't.
Beat for beat, it's the same movie. Like, they have many slow-mo montages of their drunken destruction, and we've seen it all.
I could have done with a lot fewer slow-mo montages.
There's like 6 of them.
For sure, yeah. They really, they go, they have a heavy hand with that.
Also, why are the moms doing all this shit? Why can't the dads wrap a gift here or there? You know what? Seriously, because they do in real life. They do, and this is sort of archaic in its notion that women pull it all together.
You married a unicorn. I hate to break it to you.
He is pretty great.
You got very lucky in that department.
But there's no way that he's the only person who wraps a gift.
You know, look, all I can say is, I mean, I'm clearly a soft touch for Christmas movies. This is well established. And dysfunctional family Christmas is one of probably my favorite subgenre.
Is it good?
It's actually pretty good.
Yes.
There's no reason for this movie to be good.
No,
it's actually quite good.
I'm flabbergasted because obviously it is this shameless cash in on an internet meme.
And it's a lifetime,
Lifetime
movie, by the way. This isn't like a theatrical release.
No,
this is a lifetime original movie, so
premiering on the
standards were
29th.
already pretty low.
And
But
when's it airing?
Premiering on the 29th, and I'm sure running a lot in December, and it comes out on
Yes.
DVD in mid-December.
and here's the thing, they got like one of the writers did like Rocko's Modern Life. These are funny people. Like there's a good sense of wit to it. It's kind of it knows how cheap and dumb it is.
The real star here is Aubrey Plaza, who
Yeah.
provides the voice of Grumpy Cat, and it's
perfect.
a perfect combo. Perfect. There we go. No, that is the sound of what Grumpy Cat would talk like. Is complainy Aubrey Plaza, like in full Parks and Rec mode.
Yeah, clearly.
This is the kind of thing where it leans a lot on the sort of meta fourth wall humor, which can be really tired and lazy, and we've seen done a lot. But they do it in just enough of a skew. There's just the occasional wink and the occasional.
It's sort of like a Ferris Bueller kind of aside.
Yeah, like they don't overplay their hand, and when they do it in a clever kind of way. And so.
Okay, so you're talking about how chintzy it looks. Like from a production value perspective, looking at Christmas movies, is this better or worse than Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas? Because that looks like crap.
Way better than Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas, although it does not have any Sub-Zero fridges in it. But beyond that, the camera is placed in more interesting places. It moves sometimes. Yeah, no, it's a whole other thing.
So you love this because you're you, Alonzo.
I don't love it. Let's be clear. Okay. Like I have like standards for this sort of thing, and I like it. I like it a lot. Like I've realized that when it comes to Christmas movies, I'm one of those guys. Like, you know, those people that when they talk about horror movies and they're like, well, it wasn't that great, but it had some really good kills in it. I'm that way with Christmas. Where, like, if it gives me enough,
there are some great kills in this movie.
Totally, right? No, if it's a Christmas movie that gives me enough of the sort of warm fuzzies that I'm there for, I'm willing to forgive a lot. But I will grant you that this movie is not great. This is Paul Feig's Christmas album. I don't know that I love Emilia Clarke in this.
Her eyebrows are very distracting. God, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah,
the cord keeps popping. If I move my boobs at all, anywhere near, if only I weren't so well endowed.
Christy.
Dang it. All right. Well, I will.
It doesn't make a bunch of noise when I move my boobs. So.
After this one, I'll fix it. I promise. I'm sorry about that.
I apologize, listeners, if your ears have exploded. My boobs are just too much for this show. Apparently, for Alonzo's equipment.
Yeah, this never happens a day.
Can we talk about the George Michael songs? Because they're a really crucial through line here. They are the reason that this movie exists. The fact that the song Last Christmas.
A little overly so.
If you have been listening to the George Michael channel on Sirius XM, as I have been 24 hours a day, you've gotten your fill, certainly. And they play all the old Wham stuff. It's so great. So Emma Thompson does this little interstitial thing where she explains how she was friends with George Michael, and before his death they had talked about doing a musical using his songs, like a jukebox musical kind of thing with his songs, and he had totally given his blessing to use his music in a movie, and she did this with it. And the use of the songs is so hit and miss because sometimes it's really painfully on the nose, like Emilia Clarke wakes up and on the TV is a video wake me up before you go. Things like that. That's kind of painful. But then like the scene where they go ice skating to Praying for Time, that's lovely.
I
And
thought
so why
this
is
was
this
really
good?
charming. Look, okay, we talk about how there are comedies where I've laughed enough and where I've laughed a lot, and this is in the middle. I would say I laughed regularly. I think Emma Roberts and Luke Bracey are very charming in this. They have fun chemistry. This is an R-rated movie, so while it has the premise that sounds like something you'd see on Hallmark, it is bawdy. There are bad swears and some outrageousness of various stripes. But yeah, I don't know. I had fun with it. And it's funny because I know a lot of the people that I know online who are very down for Hallmark and what Hallmark does were not down for the R-ratedness of this movie. And then obviously, I guess we're going to hear from people who aren't down for Hallmark, but also aren't down for this movie.
This was lame. This was retro and like aggressively cute. And maybe I don't watch enough Hallmark movies to have as much of a firm foundation of comparison as you do, for example, Alonzo.
A little like, I mean, not that I'm demanding nudity from my movies, but it's I don't know. It felt
More
like,
titties, says Matt actually.
Well,
There's nudity. Luke Bracey takes his shirt off to show how Australian and hunky he is.
Okay.
You see Emma Roberts' back. Sex is implied. There is sex. Sex is shown. Sorry, spoiler. Okay. They have sex eventually.
I mean,
he did. Yeah, I was totally charmed too, and I was smiling the whole way through, but it does also find that tricky balance of the substantive emotional moments in which these two women have to have real conversations with each other about the possibility of their future together. I did KPCC Film Week this past week, and the critic I was on with made some joke about like, how do you look at Kristen Stewart and not know she's gay? And they make a joke about that you know, that very thing that Dan Levy says, like, have they met a lesbian? But I think they do a good job of making the family, Mackenzie Davis's family, you know, Victor Garber, Mary Steenburgen, and these two sisters who are like overachieving and constantly competitive with each other.
I like also about the film is that because you have the Alison Brie character who has also been damaged in a different way by these parents, that this whole thing isn't just about Mackenzie Davis being cowardly or being, you know, whatever. Like clearly this house has damaged a lot of people. and so like honesty is not necessarily a virtue there because everybody's competing for mom and dad's love, and mom and dad's love is very conditional.
Yeah, and please cast Dan Levy in more stuff.
He's hilarious.
Really
He's always
great
the scene stealer.
Yeah.
I like how there's a scene early on when Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis are out like looking at Christmas lights and all that stuff, and they go to kiss. Like they're having so much fun, they just like kiss spontaneously in the street. But Kristen Stewart's like 5'3", and Mackenzie Davis is like 5'10", so she has to like lean against a wall, slouch against a wall.
I know, that's really cute.
To both get in the same shot. Like, I understand that feeling. So 8.3 is our number. It is playing now on Netflix.
Hulu.
So sorry.
Who knew?
It's playing now on Hulu.
Hulu. All right. So thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll give you more Charlie Brown Christmas singing. Follow us at BeatMaster.